Hello and welcome to another episode of My Unpopular Opinions. And I don't think there will ever be a logo. So, my episodes are getting more and more personal, and this one is especially, I wouldn't say it's dear to me, but considering that it has been a big part of my life, it kind of is in a way, because I grew up a very, very envious person. So, a little bit of a background story here. The way my parents raised me was kind of like a typical Eastern European upbringing, but with some extra twist. So, my achievements were never acknowledged. And I was never good enough, even though I was great at school. I had lots of interests, lots of talents. I would often win different awards, different competitions and stuff. I was never acknowledged or celebrated. And of course, it created some unrealistic standards for me because it doesn't matter how hard I try, it doesn't matter if I win something, and it doesn't matter if it was easy or hard for me to win that. It's still not enough. So my standards became unrealistically high, and they're like beyond like this is a potential top level. My standards are somewhere over there, and there's no way to reach them. They're fucking unrealistic. And it took me a long time to realize that. One of my really bad habits and toxic habits has been comparing myself to others, and to always like in a negative way, of course. And it's not surprising where it's coming from. Okay, like my parents, they didn't compliment me. And when I realized that around the age of 21, that I was literally like kind of begging other people for compliments. And I guess if you receive enough, or yeah, like you, like it's important to have people around you praise you, right? It's not so weird. But if you get enough of that from your family or from your close friends, you don't really ask other people much for that. And in my case, I was like, please compliment me, please acknowledge, please say it out loud. I did something cool, I did something awesome. Say it, say it, say it, say it. And of course, I guess for people who did not have that big of a problem with envy, that was kind of weird. And when I caught myself doing that, I realized that the reason for me to be doing that was my subconscious desire to hear from people around me, because this is also how your self-esteem builds, I guess. So I cannot be just fully forming my self esteem as a child, as a teenager, just from my impression of things, especially if my impression of things is heavily influenced by my parents who keep saying that I'm never good enough, right? And it's also important to not be caught up in your own world. And some people get caught up in it in the way that, oh, they think that they're super great and better than everyone. While in my case, it was exactly the opposite of that. Like, I'm not even close to being any decent, but there is a part of me that knows that I objectively have proofs that I'm doing well at so many things. It's impossible that I'm the worst person in the world. I'm not. This is ridiculous, but why doesn't anybody acknowledge that? Why doesn't anybody say that? So that was creating a lot of, confusing feelings. And like, I kind of know that this is true, but I need proofs, and I need other people to know and acknowledge that it is true as well, because then it's not true, probably. Uh, yeah, so not trusting my own instincts, I think, is also coming from the same soil. So, yeah, at around the age of 20, 21, I guess, I realized that. So I talked to my parents and I asked them to compliment me. And it did not go well. It did not go well. Even though I was not even a child anymore, and I was like trying to build a better relationship, to improve the existing one. And yeah, the response was that they will never ever compliment me. Yeah, And I know not all parents are great, but I mean, there are also lots of parents for whom complimenting their old children is not a problem. And a weird thing was that they would not compliment me directly, but he would brag about me. And I had a lot of achievements to brag about. They would just brag about me behind my back to other people, because I guess it was also like making them feel that this is my child, I have a part in this success, and maybe they did in some way. But why not to say it to your child? I don't get that, and that was extremely fucking hurtful, obviously. And to this day, even though I have made progress at not comparing myself to others too much, there was a period of a few months where I just got this, finally, I got this understanding that we are all so unique that we cannot be compared, because like it's not that we all compete at the same thing. We all have different starting points. We have different childhood, we have different talents, we have different health. Like there are so many characteristics that are so different, it's impossible for us to be compared to each other at life. What the fuck, right? And it was such a great realization that made me feel really good about myself for the first time. I mean, that in that area of my life, for the first time in like forever. And it was so great to finally feel at peace. And if somebody was doing better than me, let them. I might be, I could also find some things I was better at, which is still comparing, but it was not as toxic as it has always been for me. So also, it's not about comparing me at being better at something else than another person who's better at something I want to be better at. But also a reminder to myself that yes, maybe I'm not good at this one thing, but I'm good at this other thing, and that would make me feel better. So I think comparison can be done in a healthy and productive way, but it's probably not going to happen automatically. You have to involve emotional intelligence and maturity in order to do that. So that was a really great time, and I do carry some of it with me, but at the moment, I also don't feel that I'm not comparing myself to other people. And I think one of the reasons why I'm comparing myself to other people is that I'm going through a very, very challenging situation in my life that affects all areas of my life, that keeps my life like on freeze in really, really a lot of ways. And it has been going on for a very long time. So I have been trying to not allow it to affect me too much. I have been suffering a lot because of this situation. There have been lots of different periods of different dynamics, let's call it that. But if I try to explain it in short without getting into any details, is that I'm in an extremely underprivileged situation. Yeah. And basically, what's like keeping me alive in a way is just who I am as a person. Because being in this situation, like, I'm underprivileged in pretty much every single way. Let's put it like that. So me being able to navigate it and to still look quite all right, create things, and try to do something fun, to try to navigate my physical and mental health, and try to navigate this whole situation, looking for solutions, accepting that things are not going the way that they are supposed to be going, figuring things out, like it takes a lot out of me, and I'm surrounded by people who are way more privileged than me in so many fucking ways. I am really lagging behind on many levels at this point and over the past few years, and also before before I made this huge move in my life. So I have had to be my own source of encouragement, my own foundation, my own person, and knowing that very often I didn't have anyone to rely on. And even though I started meeting people who became my very good friends and whom I can rely on now and who have been helping me out, and for that I am forever grateful, I still go through a lot of things alone. And I don't know if there is a way for somebody to go through it with me, because of course everybody has different kind of problems and no one's life is perfect. But it just, my life is objectively way worse than anyone else's. That like kind of um like the people around me, because if there is this thing of like, um you can draw a circle and divide it into, I think, eight areas, and it's like your health, your relationship, your money, and I don't remember the specifics, but there's this kind of an exercise to evaluate your life and to see where you're lagging behind and to focus on those areas and maintain the ones that are doing well. Let's just say that there are a few areas that everybody else whom I know has in one way or another that I don't have. And it makes it very challenging for me to be understood. Because even if I had a normal kind of life situation, lagging behind on those few areas would still be affecting me very much. And I would still be doing worse than the people for whom these areas are kind of great. you know, okay, so the areas are basically family and security and like the country, the home country, the place, the home where you can go back to, the people who will unconditionally support you. I don't have that stuff. And it is making my life much more difficult on top of all the challenging situations that are also happening. So for me, it has been really difficult to not compare myself to others because I'm going through something really, really, really challenging and hard. And what I noticed is that for many people, it's challenging just to be around me. It's just challenging to see my struggle. And luckily for them, they can just kind of shut it down and can just like distance themselves from this. And whenever I share some personal struggles more openly, which I'm also learning to do because I did not grow up feeling safe enough to express myself, to ask for help. It's still difficult for me to be asking for help when my family was refusing to help me in like almost like very difficult situations where your family should not be even questioning. My family was just not there for me. Like I'm struggling with this understanding that if something happens and if I have some problems, I have someone to rely on and I'll be fine. I grew up without this feeling. And I'm trying to build it up now, but again, I have people in my life who are like my top people, but for them, I'm not because they have their family, their partners, their besties from 20 years ago or so. So it has been really difficult for me to also accept and understand it, and also to acknowledge that nobody really thinks about it this way. That imbalance of kind of priorities that the people who are top of my list, I'm not the top of their list because they have um, other people who are more of a priority for them, which is totally fine and great. But I have to deal with it. I have to deal with it, especially if I'm in a crisis and if I need help and support, that I might not receive it. And I totally understand it, but it doesn't make it any easier. So it brings me to the next point, which is I see a lot of people complaining and complaining about quite small things. And I'm assuming that those things don't feel small in their life because they seem to be quite settled in so many ways, in the ways that I am not settled. And I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get even some of the things that kind of seem to be a default for them. And it is hard. It is hard because when some small problem happens to me, I don't even see it as problem anymore because I have had to deal with a lot of really huge shit, with the shit that I couldn't not ask anyone for advice for because this is not what these people have experienced. And this is kind of like a very unusual life paths apparently. And sometimes life is lifing really hard, and you cannot even find explanation why things just keep happening to you. And I understand that it is difficult to have somebody close to you who keeps just receiving all the shit from the world, but it is so much harder to be this person. And of course, I have been envious. I have been envious to, like, to the first world problems, kind of, despite my looks and a relatively good English, I'm not the I'm not the first world person, even though I look like one, I seem to be one, but I am not in many ways, unfortunately. And I have experienced some reverse racism, and by people who are supposed to I don't know, like, to be helping me professionally, like it's their profession to be helping me. I have seen a lot of like situations when they just did not take me seriously because they were just assuming that I'm just another privileged person, which I'm not. I'm not. And I hope to maybe become one day, but I'm still not, despite all of my attempts. And um, it's kind of tricky and annoying because, yeah, okay, whatever like my legal status is, it should not be affecting who I am as a person. And in many ways, I haven't allowed it to. And I think I'm a pretty cool person, and I would really love to have someone who's like me in my life. But at the same time, it's unrealistic to say that I have not been affected by that. I have not been affected by this whole challenging situation I have been in for years now, and feeling worse than everybody else, and also struggling to share what it is I'm going through. And then when I felt a little bit more comfortable to talk about it, people would say that they had no idea, they could never imagine what I had been going through, because I would just keep it to myself and just try to fix it, try to work on it, and it's just not happening. So I get very fucking annoyed when people who have all the things that I don't just start complaining. And it it's not that everybody should be going through a lot of suffering in this life. Good for them. But I think these are the moments when I'm poked into whatever this is I'm experiencing in life. I don't know. It kind of makes me believe in reincarnation, because I think I must have been a really shitty person in my past life. because I can't find any other explanation to just keep having life just knocking me out constantly. So naturally, I've been very very envious, and this is not a trait I'm proud of, but it was helpful to acknowledge it and to say it out loud a while ago, because it allowed me to focus a bit more on how to deal with it, because I don't want to be an envious person, but based on the difficulties I have had to endure and still have to, and at this point it kind of feels like it's not gonna get easier, because it seemed like it should have gone easier a while ago and it didn't. So, the survival mode and shit is not helping with envy. And of course, when you're in a good place, you don't have a reason to compare yourself to others too much when you're feeling confident and safe. But I guess when your sense of safety is not there, and despite your best attempts, it's not happening, it's natural that you fall into those patterns. But um I get incredibly annoyed. I just get so triggered and so mad at people who are just complaining about tiny things. And the thing is that it makes me feel like, even if the same people are trying to support me, um, I don't really feel supported, I guess. I don't know. And of course, it makes me feel very lonely, because I clearly understand that there's no way for me to understand me, no matter like how empathetic you are. It's impossible to relate to my experiences unless you went through them. And that's very fucking sad. But it is what it is. And I don't know how to not get triggered, whether I have to just isolate myself from the people who trigger me. Should I have a different perspective on it? But when you're going through a lot of shit, and you're not feeling safe, somebody who has all the things you don't have complains about some tiny little thing that is not even a problem. I can't. I just can't ignore it. So, yeah, yes, that's something that I wanted to let out, and maybe by talking about it more openly, I will also feel less of this fucking envy, because it's not a good feeling, but it's also a good signal of what is going on. And yeah, I think all the negative feelings are signals for something. And as I learned, envy or jealousy is about believing that somebody who has something that you believe you deserve, um, and you kind of believe that they don't deserve it, or maybe you believe that you deserve it and you don't have it. So that makes you kind of hate the other person, and it makes perfect sense. Of course, I think I do deserve like having a supportive family. Why wouldn't I deserve that? But also, yeah, it's not everything I wanted to share about envy. Also, another way I was brought up was about a lot of appearance, the way how people look, the way how people dress. And I wouldn't even call my parents like being good at having a good style, or like looking and dressing nicely, but they were always so fucking critical of everybody else, just like comparing. Oh, did you see that, did you see that? Oh, this person does not deserve this because they're dressed like that, or because their face features are like that, or their hair is like that. And even though I do disagree with this. I see how it is still imprinted in my brain. And sometimes I catch myself looking at somebody and I'm like, oh, they're not dressed well enough. You don't deserve it, blah, blah, blah. And I was told that I was not dressing well. I was told that I'm not pretty enough. I was told all of these negative things as well. So, of course, it also affected the way I saw myself. And these unrealistic standards for everything are also um, about how I feel about myself and how I feel about social interactions, including dating and stuff. And there are so many times I felt like I was super fucking ugly and that everybody else was looking so much better than me. And I started realizing that when I looked at old pictures of me and I remembered, oh, I was feeling so ugly, I look at the picture and I'm like, I'm not ugly at all. I'm looking great. I'm looking so much more beautiful than I thought I was looking. Why was I thinking this way? Why was I feeling this way? Why was I convinced that I was so fucking ugly? And it kept happening over the years. I would keep looking back at more and more old pictures over time, and I'm like, damn it! Like even like last week, I was feeling very ugly, but I was not ugly at all. I was looking amazing. I was looking great. This is a very beautiful picture of me. But I was feeling so ugly on the inside that it didn't matter how much I looked on the outside. And one of the things I get really envy and mad about is when I see somebody who does not fit the standard of a good looking person according to my parents. And this is something that I realized quite recently what it really was. Because I was told that I have to be a certain way in order to receive love. And I apparently was never good enough to fit that um, appearance standard. And I was never receiving enough love. So, of course, I always thought that I was not good enough. I'm not fit enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not dressed well enough. My hair is not good enough. Like, there are so many things that are good, not good enough, and that somebody whom I want to be attracted to me will not be attracted to me, obviously because I don't look a certain way. And then I would see, okay, let's say girls, because like I mostly have been compared to girls because I'm a girl, and I see a girl that looks so much worse than me. And I'm like, she is not looking that great compared to what I think like a standard is, but she has loving family, she has supportive friends and loving partner. And then it creates this like, wait, what? But you're supposed to be this pretty, you're supposed to be this successful in order to be loved. And especially like when there are some people that you also get to know and you're like, okay, this person is not that interesting, this person is not that intelligent, and then they have the great things, they have the great relationships in their lives, they have this unconditional support. And I'm like, wait, how is this possible? Because, like, I have been working so hard on myself. I have been trying so hard, and I could never deserve that love. And they don't have any of these things that I have either gained by birth or gained by working hard and improving myself. But they still have those things that I have been trying to get so desperately. How the fuck does it work? And it has been very annoying and very painful to finally realize that it's because love is not something that you can deserve, apparently. Apparently, people either love you or they don't, which makes me even more confused. Because, okay, me working so hard on myself, um, pursuing my passions and talents and expressing myself and overcoming an extremely fucking difficult situation like a fucking pro. I'm extremely proud of myself for how I'm dealing with what I have to deal with the things that were happening to me in the past. I had so many reasons and so many opportunities to go the wrong way. And yet I always chose to do the right thing, to stay, true to myself and to choose a better path, even if it was very difficult. And this alone is already a really fucking cool thing. And I do understand that not everybody should agree with me. But in my own life, I do understand that if love was conditional, I do have so many reasons to receive it. But apparently it is not. And that leaves me even more confused and sad, because then if it's not conditional and I have not been receiving it, there must be something wrong with me, right? Because how come people who are not taking care of their mental health, who are not taking care of their, inner world, their appearance, whatever, how come people who are not as funny or not as smart or not as talented or not as hardworking as me get these basic human things for them, have the support, have the love, have the encouragement, and yet I have been trying so hard to get it, and I'm not getting it, which is in a way a positive thing because it has also taught me to provide it for myself, but it's not always enough. And I'm very proud of pursuing my talents and my passions, even when there was no one cheering for me, even if people were negative about it, which kind of postponed my YouTube journey by 10 years. But I'm really proud that I'm able to provide this love and support for myself and to encourage myself and to not look at people around me and move forward just because they say that they believe in me or something. But at the same time, I want that, and I shouldn't be feeling bad about wanting it, right? But I am so confused, because if love is unconditional, then why am I not receiving it? And at the same time, what I see a lot is also like I have been really trying hard to practice unconditional love in the ways that, like listening to myself, acknowledging my feelings, acknowledging my needs, asking myself, what do I want? How can I make myself feel better without relying on other people to, to provide for my emotional and psychological needs. I have become my own best friend. I really love my own company. And I think the fact that I would really love a person like me in my life tells me about myself and about a good relationship with myself. Because what I also see a lot in the people who have been more privileged, who have received unconditional love and support, and just go and do your thing, just go and it's okay, and if you fail you can just try again, whatever. I haven't had people tell me that. I have had to just like do things despite all the limitations and the hatred and shit. And yeah, so that makes me annoyed because I'm sad and depressed. And I wouldn't say I'm lonely. And the thing is that, like this self love journey and unconditional self love, I have learned to also not judge myself. Like most of the time, unless I'm feeling very depressed and have too many things happening at once, I am feeling very confident and content with myself. And I accept all the feelings that come up. If I want to cry, I allow myself to cry. I don't criticize myself. I don't blame myself. If I need to rest, I acknowledge this need, though I'm not really good at following it because again, I'm in survival mode. But still, I allow myself to get angry and I'm learning ecological ways of expressing my emotions and feelings. And I sit with my feelings, even when it's super uncomfortable, because I know that if I don't, they will start destroying me from within. And it allowed me to build a really, really strong resilience. And it might be one of the reasons why I still haven't given up at this point, despite all the fucking hardships. And what I see in those more privileged people is that despite receiving that unconditional love and support from the outside, they do not love themselves. And this is a fucking paradox. I really don't understand how the fuck it works. Like, how? I don't get it. Same with self-esteem. Years ago, I think I was still at school, I joined this dance class, and I was all, well, I was not always socially anxious, but at that point, yeah, my social anxiety, yeah, teenager, I think, yeah, that's when it was actually getting there. And I was feeling very confident on the inside, but like this parenting conditioning and lots of other things, I felt like it was just buried deep inside of me. And on the outside, I was not expressive. I was scared of talking to people. I would just find a couple people that I kind of felt comfortable around, and I would just talk to them, and I would be very scared of everybody else, and just like very quiet, and just anxious and shivering and scared of everything and everyone. And then there was another girl who was super expressive and very like funny and super extroverted. And she seemed like the opposite of me, but we really vibed and we became friends. And at some point, she told me that this expression is fake and she actually doesn't feel confident on the outside. And I could not believe it. I could not believe it because I was the one having the confidence on the outside, but not being able to express it. Then, if I didn't have that confidence on the outside, I could not see how that would be possible for me to to behave as if I was confident. Like it was already like paradoxical enough for me to try to connect the dots between being confident and not being able to express it. But how can you not be confident and not know what real confidence is, but being able to pretend that you are confident? And then over the years, I heard more and more of that from other people who have appeared to be extremely confident on the outside, and I still don't understand how it works. So, yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't understand. It's difficult and complicated and weird. But at the same time, I'm really glad that I have built this trust with myself. And despite how hard it is to not have the feeling that, okay, if something happens in my life, I have this person or this person to rely on, I still don't have this feeling that most people who grew up in good families, I don't have this feeling. I have friends, I have some very close friends in my life, but this is not the same. And I cannot be, unfortunately, 100% sure that some problems in my life will not coincide with some problems in their lives, or some problems with their relatives or best friends, or something. And then, very understandably, I will not be a priority. And it sucks, but this is true. And this is what has happened. And sometimes people were able to be there for me, and sometimes they were not. So I I think I'm more aware of that, but I don't have the confidence of knowing that, well, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, I can rely for sure on this person or these people, and I know that they will help me out, and I know that they will be there for me unconditionally and no matter what. And probably, even if you have a supportive big family, it still doesn't mean that every time something happens to you, they will be able to be there. But at least this confidence of believing that they will, because they were, and you grow up feeling secure, it allows you to have an easier life. It allows you to feel safer. And this is something I grew up without, and I'm still trying to grow it in myself, but I don't know if it's even possible to build it in a way that it was built for those who grew up knowing that they can fuck something up, they can get into trouble, something can just happen to them, but they're not alone, and it's going to get fixed. While I have always been scared of fucking something up because I knew nobody was coming to rescue me. And even worse, whenever something was happening to me, and we know that problems just happen, it's not that every bad thing that happens to you is a consequence of your mistake. I was always blamed for any problem I ever had, on top of that, by my family. Instead of getting helped and instead of acknowledging that, yeah, things happen, it's all right. You're already feeling bad enough because something bad happened. Let me support you. No, I was only made feel worse. So I guess that's why I do get jealous and I get envious and I get angry and I get sad when I see people who have someone to rely on unconditionally, who live a safe, secure life, who have people cheering for them loudly, even though it might be fake, especially if to judge by social media and comments. uh, but I'm like, yeah, I'm doing things too. I'm doing some cool things. I'm really proud of the things that I'm doing. I don't really have people cheer up for me. And I remember, I think I was writing about it years ago, and it hasn't really changed. And then seeing somebody else who might not even been doing a good job, and then seeing people, oh my god, you are a goddess, you're so talented, you're so great, oh my god, keep going, you're doing so well. And then I see something that I did that is objective. I know it's not my position to say if it's objectively better, but if I saw the same thing done by another person, I would say this is better. I don't get it still. I still, like, my videos are not getting likes, they're not getting comments, and I do feel that maybe until I get bigger or something, people also don't want to be associated with me and my content. I don't know. I see people trying things and doing them worse and still being celebrated and supported publicly by their friends and acquaintances. And in my case, it's not really happening, even though I think that my content is really cool and really helpful because it's also, like, it's deep and it's important. But apparently maybe it's not. Who knows? Who is the judge? I don't know. I think my life has also taught me to be my own judge. And if I am proud of what I'm doing, it's already good enough. And maybe there will be people who will agree with that and like it and respect it and appreciate it. Maybe there won't. But I guess the reason why I grew up an envious person is also the reason why I have such a strong feeling of who I am. Because I did not get to depend on other people's opinions and had to build a strong relationship with myself. Yeah, so that's what I think about being envy. Well, thank you for for tuning in, and yeah, thank you for being here. If anyone is here, I am, yeah, I have made more videos in this series of my unpopular opinions. Still no logo, and I have been covering topics that are mostly focused on interpersonal relationships. So check them out. It's going to be in one of the top corners. But let me quickly list at least some of the videos that I have already made. They are about people pleasing, parent pleasing, friendship, love, romantic relationships, friend zone. Then there was a follow up on friend zone, having a crush, polyamory, my toxic traits, breakups, dating. I feel like there was something else, and the recent one that was also a very vulnerable one is about my relationship fears. So yeah, check them out if you find it interesting. Let me know in the comments if you relate, agree, or disagree with anything I'm saying. But yeah, at this point, I find it more difficult to try to stay polite and just talk about things more generally. I feel like sharing my personal experience and perspective and struggles is something that I want and have to do now. So let's see what the next videos are going to look like. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.